Have you ever felt a pull towards something new, a craving for the unexpected? That restlessness led me to do something out of character. I booked a mystery trip. The idea is simple. Pay for a travel package, but the destination stays secret until the last moment. The anticipation was electric. Every day I wondered, mountains or beaches, city lights or wild jungles? The not knowing was both thrilling and nerve-wracking. This wasn't just a vacation. It was an experiment in trust and spontaneity. I wanted to see what happens when you let go of control and let adventure choose you. It's about being open, adapting, and discovering new parts of yourself. Sometimes, the greatest adventures are the ones you never saw coming. Join me as I step off the edge of the map and into the unknown. The suspense before departure was delicious torture. Friends asked, "Where are you going?" I could only shrug and smile. The mystery became my secret thrill, every email a possible clue. The travel company sent cryptic hints, warm climate, vibrant culture, but nothing concrete. It was a leap of faith, trusting the process and embracing the unknown. In a world where we research everything, this was a chance to be truly present. The final package arrived inside my destination. This trip was about more than travel. It was about curiosity and courage. The best stories begin when you're brave enough to turn the page. I was ready to discover what was next. The package sat on my table, heavy with anticipation. I stared at it, heart pounding, savoring the last seconds of mystery. Finally, I opened it. A black envelope sealed with a compass rose. Inside, a welcome card and a flag, green, yellow, and blue. One word in bold script, Brazil. My jaw dropped. Brazil, vivid, passionate, and full of natural beauty. All my guesses evaporated. The world had chosen for me. I was about to step into a story I never could have planned. The adventure was real, and it was about to begin. Brazil awaited. Brazil. The name filled my apartment with color and possibility. I'd never imagined South America. My mind had been stuck in Europe or Asia. But here it was, Rio de Janeiro, Copacabana Beach, Christ the Redeemer. The documents felt like a treasure map to a world I'd never dared to choose. If I'd planned this trip, I'd have picked somewhere safe, familiar. Instead, I was handed a ticket to the spectacular unknown. The nervous energy was gone, replaced by pure excitement. This is the gift of mystery travel, a push beyond your comfort zone. The best adventures are the ones that find you. My journey had truly begun. Shock gave way to exhilaration. I was going to Brazil. Freedom and gratitude washed over me. Fate had chosen my path. Then came a flicker of fear. Brazil was big, far, and unfamiliar. I didn't speak Portuguese. Would I be safe? Could I adapt? But curiosity quickly replaced fear. I dove into research, food, music, landscapes. Each discovery chipped away at my doubts, building wonder and respect. I was grateful for the courage to take this leap. The real reveal wasn't just a place, it was a new sense of adventure within myself. The secret was out, and I was ready for whatever came next. Brazil was waiting. With Brazil revealed, packing panic set in. My closet was full of dark, rainy day clothes, nothing for Rio's sun and color. I needed light fabrics, bold colors, and tropical energy. I tossed clothes everywhere, trying to imagine myself on Copacabana Beach. My reality, jeans and sweaters. My dream, sundresses and sandals. Every item was scrutinized. Was it right for Brazil? Packing became my first step in embracing this new adventure. I sorted, packed, and tried to picture the version of me ready for Brazil. It wasn't just about clothes. It was about preparing for transformation. I was almost ready to step into the vibrant unknown. Beyond clothing, there were essentials to consider. My bathroom counter became a chaotic laboratory of travel-sized bottles. Sunscreen was a top priority. I envisioned the strong Brazilian sun and decided my usual SPF 30 wouldn't be enough. I made a mental note to buy the highest SPF I could find. Then came the insect repellent. The thought of the Amazon rainforest conjured images of exotic, unfamiliar bugs. The what-if scenarios began to multiply, fueling my packing frenzy. I started to pack a small first aid kit. It felt like I was preparing for a solo expedition rather than a trip to a major global city. I bought a new travel purse with anti-theft features and a money belt. This part of the packing process was a strange mix of practical preparation and wild imagination. I was packing not just my belongings, but also my hopes and fears. After hours of frantic sorting and relentless second-guessing, I finally reached a state of exhausted acceptance. My bedroom looked like a department store had exploded, but amidst the chaos, a plan was beginning to form. I took a step back, took a deep breath, and decided to approach the final pack with a strategy. I started using packing cubes, those magical little zippered bags that bring order to even the most chaotic suitcase. One cube was for tops, another for bottoms, one for dresses, and a separate one for swimwear and undergarments. This simple act of organization felt like a massive victory. Slowly but surely, the mountain of clothes on my bed began to shrink as items found their designated homes within the cubes. I carefully rolled each piece of clothing to maximize space and minimize wrinkles, a trick I had learned from seasoned travel bloggers. As I rolled a brightly colored sundress, I could almost feel the warm Brazilian sun on my skin. Packing was no longer just a chore. It was becoming a ritual, a meditative process that was connecting me more deeply to the journey ahead. Each item packed was a promise of a new experience, a new memory waiting to be made. I also created a dedicated pouch for all my documents and electronics. My passport, my flight confirmation, the travel documents revealing my destination, my phone charger, and a portable power bank all went into one easily accessible place. This was my command center, the brain of the entire operation. Knowing that all my most important items were secure and together brought a profound sense of calm. The initial panic was finally starting to subside, replaced by a feeling of readiness and competence. I was no longer just reacting. I was actively and thoughtfully preparing for my departure. Finally, with the last item tucked away, I zipped up my suitcase. It felt solid and compact, a self-contained capsule of everything I would need for my adventure. Looking at the neatly packed bag and my much tidier room, I felt a sense of accomplishment. The packing panic had been a wild ride, a whirlwind of emotion and anxiety, but I had made it through to the other side. The chaos had been tamed, the speculation had been addressed, and all that was left was the pure, unadulterated excitement for the journey itself. My bag was packed, my mind was clear, and I was ready for Brazil. The last few hours before leaving for the airport were a strange blend of calm and nervous energy. My suitcase stood by the door, ready for the adventure. I walked through the rooms, performing the familiar pre-travel rituals, like watering my plants one last time. I double-checked that the windows were locked and the lights were off. Each small action felt significant, a final goodbye to my normal everyday life. It still felt hard to believe that in less than a day, I would be in another hemisphere. Surrounded by a language I did not understand, I was about to trade my world for the vibrant, sun-drenched landscapes of Rio de Janeiro. I made myself a final cup of tea. As the time to leave drew closer, the nerves began to prickle at the edges of my excitement again. Once I walked out that door, the journey would truly begin. I grabbed my suitcase, opened the door, and stepped out into the unknown. The airport, a world of transition. The hum of suitcases, flight announcements, and countless conversations blended into a symphony of movement. Passport in hand, every sign for international departures felt like a personal invitation. Checking my bag felt like a release. It was destined for Rio de Janeiro. Lighter and unburdened, letting go of my luggage was a powerful metaphor. Trusting that everything I needed would meet me on the other side. Security, shedding the last layers of my ordinary life. I found my gate, Rio de Janeiro displayed on the screen, watching planes take off against the setting sun. Soon, I would be soaring through the sky toward South America. The airport was the starting line. I had crossed the threshold. Boarding the plane felt like stepping into a portal. I found my window seat, the engines humming. The announcements, a mix of English and Portuguese, made my destination sink in. This was the sound of Brazil. The roar of the engines accelerated us down the runway until we were airborne. We climbed, breaking through the clouds into a clear night sky. I looked out the window at a vast blanket of brilliant, shimmering stars. It was a humbling sight, a reminder of our place in the universe. I was flying through a sky full of stars toward Brazil. I felt gratitude for the journey itself. After what felt like an eternity suspended in the starry darkness, the first hint of dawn began to paint the horizon. A soft, orange glow slowly crept across the sky, chasing away the night and heralding the arrival of a new day. The cabin lights flickered on, and the sleepy energy began to shift into one of wakeful anticipation. The captain's voice came over the intercom, announcing that we were beginning our descent into Rio de Janeiro. My heart leaped. This was it. I pressed my face to the window again, eager for my first glimpse of the land that had been a mystery to me for so long. Slowly, the world below began to take shape. First, I saw the deep blue of the Atlantic Ocean, its surface sparkling in the early morning light. Then the coastline appeared, a dramatic and rugged line where the sea met the land. And then I saw them, the mountains. They were not like any mountains I had ever seen before. These were majestic, green-clad granite peaks that rose dramatically and improbably from the landscape, some jutting right out of the ocean itself. They were more beautiful and more imposing than any photograph could ever convey. The city was nestled among them, a sprawling metropolis tucked into the curves of the coast. As we flew lower, the details became clearer. I could see the long, curving expanse of white sand beaches, dotted with tiny buildings. I saw the famous Sugarloaf Mountain, its unique shape unmistakable even from the air. The plane banked, giving me a breathtaking panoramic view of the city waking up below. The sheer scale and stunning natural beauty of Rio's setting were overwhelming. It was a city blessed by nature, a place where urban life and wild landscapes collided in the most spectacular fashion. My first impression, even from thousands of feet in the air, was one of pure, unadulterated awe. The wheels touched down on the runway with a gentle bump, and the plane erupted in a spontaneous round of applause from the passengers. It was a sound of arrival, of homecoming for some, and for me, a sound of welcome. We were here. We were in Brazil. A wave of emotion washed over me, excitement, relief, and a touch of disbelief. The journey through the unknown was complete, but the real adventure was just beginning. I had traveled across the world, guided by faith and curiosity, and had landed in a place more beautiful than I could have ever imagined. I unbuckled my seatbelt, ready to step out of the plane and into the vibrant, waiting arms of Rio. Stepping onto the jet bridge was the moment everything changed. A wall of warmth enveloped me, a thick, humid embrace. This was the air of Brazil, rich with the scent of tropical rain and distant ocean salt. Walking through Rio de Janeiro's airport was a vibrant assault on the senses. The melodic sounds of Portuguese flowed around me. The people themselves were a beautiful sight, a stunning tapestry of backgrounds. It was a powerful first impression, a culture that seemed to wear its heart on its sleeve. After collecting my suitcase, I pushed my cart out into the main arrivals hall. The terminal was replaced by a vibrant, joyful chaos. I was here, alone, at the very beginning of my Brazilian adventure. The journey from the airport to my hotel was my first true immersion into Rio de Janeiro. The taxi ride was an adventure. Navigating the bustling traffic felt like the percussion section in the city's grand symphony. Looking out the window, I was mesmerized by the unfolding scenery. The landscape was a dramatic clash of worlds. Favelas climbed the hillsides, contrasting with modern high-rises. Majestic granite mountains watched over the city. This place was a stark contrast of natural beauty and urban energy. The city was unapologetically alive and loud. As we neared the coast, I saw the ocean and drove along the Copacabana promenade. People were everywhere. The beach was the city's living room, its heart. My first impressions were a whirlwind, and I couldn't wait to explore. After checking into my hotel, a small, charming place just a few blocks from the beach, my first mission was simple: find food. The long flight had left me hungry, and I was eager for my first authentic taste of Brazil. I walked out onto the bustling street, feeling a little timid, but determined. I found a small, open-air cafe, a lanchonette, that was buzzing with locals on their lunch break. The air smelled incredible, a mix of grilling meat, baking bread, and sweet, tropical fruits. I decided this was the perfect place to start my culinary journey, a place where I could just watch and learn. I stood at the counter, pointing at things and using my very limited Portuguese. I ordered a salgado, a savory pastry filled with cheese, and a glass of freshly squeezed pineapple juice, or suco de abacaxi. The woman behind the counter was patient and kind, smiling at my clumsy attempts to pronounce the words. When the food came, it was simple but absolutely delicious. The pastry was warm and flaky, and the juice was the sweetest, most flavorful pineapple I had ever tasted in my life. It was a small moment, but it felt incredibly significant. My first real transaction, my first meal, my first successful interaction in this new country. As I sat at a small table, I just observed the world around me. I watched the way people greeted each other with a kiss on each cheek. I noticed the relaxed pace of life. No one seemed to be in a frantic rush. People were taking their time, enjoying their food, and genuinely connecting with one another. It was a culture that clearly valued community and simple pleasures. This was the culture shock I had been expecting. But it wasn't shocking in a negative way. It was a gentle, beautiful realization that there are so many different ways to live, and I was getting a front row seat to one of them. That first meal was more than just sustenance. It was a gateway. It gave me the confidence to explore further, to be more daring. Finishing my juice, I felt a renewed sense of excitement wash over me. The initial anxieties of arrival were melting away, replaced by a deep and profound curiosity. I had survived the flight, navigated the airport, and successfully ordered lunch. I felt a small surge of pride and independence. This mystery trip had already pushed me, challenged me, and now it was rewarding me with the simple, perfect taste of a fresh pineapple juice on a warm afternoon in Rio. The adventure had truly begun. The first few days in Rio were a beautiful blur. I started my mornings by walking to the beach just as the sun began to cast its golden glow. I would buy a fresh coconut from a kiosk. Watching the waves crash became my morning ritual. Rio moves to its own unique rhythm. It's a rhythm found in the music that seems to drift from every open window. It's in the cadence of the Portuguese language. It's also in the relaxed pace of the people. No one rushes. One afternoon, I found myself drawn to the sound of drumming and discovered a group of people practicing for Carnival. A woman waved me over, encouraging me to join in. In that moment, I was just a person, sharing in a moment of pure happiness. Embracing this adventure meant allowing myself to feel the city's rhythm in my own heart. My days were filled with beautiful surprises. One morning, I took a local bus just to see where it would go. I saw vibrant street art and bustling local markets where vendors sold exotic fruits. This bus ride became an unplanned tour of the real Rio. Another day, I took the cable car up Sugarloaf Mountain. The panoramic view of the city unfolded beneath me, breathtaking. Seeing the Christ the Redeemer statue in the distance was a truly humbling experience. The food was a constant source of delight. I became obsessed with pão de queijo. I tried feijoada at a small, family-run restaurant. I learned that the best way to understand a culture is often through its cuisine. This mystery trip had delivered me to Brazil, but it was these unplanned, spontaneous discoveries that were the true gift. As my time in Brazil drew to a close, I found myself on the shores of Copacabana one last time, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The transformation I felt was profound. This trip had given me so much more than just a stamp in my passport. It had fundamentally changed my perspective on travel and on life itself. Brazil, with its vibrant energy, was the perfect teacher. My journey to Brazil may be ending, but the adventure it sparked within me is just beginning. This trip was more than a vacation. It was a catalyst. The greatest discovery was the realization that I am capable of so much more than I ever thought possible. The magic of mystery travel isn't about the destination, it's about the mindset. It's about cultivating curiosity and being open to unexpected detours. Challenge yourself to do something that makes your heart beat faster. Let go of control, let yourself be surprised. You'll discover your resilience, wonder, and courage. Be brave, be curious, and embrace the unknown. Say yes to adventure, say yes to the unknown.